Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. It's Tuesday, February 7th. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, joined by Josh Mansfield. And as we tick ever closer to the start of the 2023 disc golf season, we know who the All-Stars are going to be competing in Tucson in just a couple of weeks. And we're getting ready for our preseason draft and our season preview and all this good stuff coming up. So, Josh, we were both down in sunny Tampa, Florida this weekend. You were kind of on the Clearwater side. There's like three cities, like right. I don't really get what's going on there, but anyway, how was your trip?
It was very nice. It was warm weather. We went to Universal Studios, which was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Enjoyed the sunshine. It's really nice. I mean, I spoke for a 30-minute segment, and I had an all-expense-paid trip to Clearwater for 4 days. So I feel like I won right here. It was quite nice. And then got to play some disc golf on Saturday.
Very nice. How was your round?
It was good. I played 2 rounds. Got to hit up Coachman, I think is what the course was called. I think it was a par 3 course. So pretty short, just nice, casual. Played that. And then I had Joe, Disc Golf Joe, messaged me before I went down and invited me to come down and play a round at Cliff. I don't remember. I think it's Cliff Stevens, but anyway, they just call it Cliff. Invited me to come play Saturday night at Cliff. And brought along a celebrity guest.
A celebrity guest?
Yes. I played 9 holes with the one and only, the champ, Ken Climo, at his home course. Yes.
Wow. Now, take a look. Here's a picture of Josh with Champ in front of a installed sign. Like, did Champ say, "Hey, we have to go take a picture at this sign," or did you see the sign?
No, so we were coming up to hole 16, which is kind of one of, I guess, the signature holes there. And he's like, "Oh, if you want to take a picture, this is going to be the place to do it." And then points out the sign. So I had to oblige. I mean, if he wanted a picture with me, then I guess I was willing to take one.
Unbelievable opportunity. So, okay, tell us about how did he play? How was the vibes? Like, what was he like to get around in with?
He was everything that you kind of like in the disc golf stereotype. Incredibly casual, very chill, talking about the course, chatting it up, like just a great time. I was expecting, I don't know, I think I was expecting a lot more like intense about him, kind of like when you meet pros at a professional tournaments nowadays, right? They're very serious, which makes sense. But I guess I was kind of expecting something similar, just incredibly casual. And so we ran into Sam from Illinois, Upshot listener. Thanks for being a listener, Sam.
Shout out, Sam.
Joined us for, also Sam said, I asked Sam if he knew, because he lives about an hour away from Peoria. So I asked him if he had played Northwood, and he said yes, which I think means that he agrees with my Ledgestone take. So
wait a minute, because he's played Northwood?
That's he didn't say it in quite so many words, but I could tell that's what he meant.
Okay, Josh is really he's grasping at straws.
No, I was picking it up. Anyway, so Sam and I were kind of like back a little bit when Climo went up to go putt, and Sam just remarked to me, he's like, "This is just so casual. Like it felt like we have played a dozen rounds with him before, because it just felt very natural. He was very complimentary of shots, gave a couple of pieces of like great advice."
Okay. What was the advice?
So the big one was just the big one for me that I got was when I did a patent pending shot from behind a pretty big tree, and he's like, "You are not," and he's like, when you are where you're at relative to this tree, a patent pending shot works, but you really should just take it like the 11 inches back from your disc and put your foot there, and then let yourself just have the swing without worrying about hitting the tree. He's like, patent pending, don't mess with that unless you like absolutely have to and you have no other options. And so I knew that was a rule, but I don't know why I just never thought about using it out in the open like that with just a single tree. So that was nice. But otherwise, I mean, it really felt like I was playing with somebody who I'd known for years because of just how casual it was. He is coming off of a skateboarding injury, I think is what he said. and so can't really get a full brace, but he still cleared the 420-foot water carry, and made the putt for birdie on the circle's edge afterwards. So I think he went 6 down through 9 and missed 3 putts on edge of circle. We weren't. I don't know. I don't know what everyone else scored. He definitely beat me and Joe, because Joe and I both had our scores on UDisc because we played the front 9 together.
Sure.
He definitely beat Joe and I. I think Sam did better than Joe and I, but I think Climo definitely shot the best.
Just he's like, I'm hurt, and then he's still killing it.
Yes, that's pretty accurate. Wasn't throwing super far because of the injury.
Sure.
But made a couple crazy circle 2 putts. The only thing that I think really held him back is because he missed a few circle's edge putts. And he's like, I haven't played in over a month, and just walks out and shoots 6 down through 9. So very casual about it. Very fun. He said we got interrupted, so he didn't get to give his full reasoning why. But I asked him which of his world championships was most meaningful to him. And he said it was his first one, because the previous worlds he had played pretty poorly, finished 5th, and was really frustrated about it. And then came back out the next year and got the win for his first world championship. And he said that one was the most meaningful to him. So for anybody who's wondering, that's the one question I asked.
There you go. I feel like most people say they're first.
I think so too.
Amazing. Wow. What an opportunity.
It's a great experience. Yeah.
Somehow we managed not to meet up, which
I know.
we both ended up being busier than we expected, and it just didn't work out. We couldn't go to the Lightning game. It's all good.
Yeah.
We'll certainly see each other in Vermont, but there's a pretty good chance I'll see you sometime in the Mountain West before then. So
I hope so. Come out to the Zootown Open.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I'm gonna go watch that one. The one other story I got to tell you.
Oh, please.
On my flight back, the flight attendant saw my Jomez jacket. So I had my pound bag, obviously, and then my Jomez jacket was on, and she recognized the Jomez jacket. She's like, "Oh, my son's a big disc golfer." And then after the flight, I'm getting off, and she said, "So are you involved in Jomez? Are you involved in disc golf at all?" And I was like, "Well, I play a lot. Just I'm not involved with Jomez, but we do a podcast." And she's like, "What? Your podcast? Is it like the Upshot or something?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." She's like, "I've listened to that. My son got me into disc golf because I fly all over the place and I need something to do when I'm in other cities sometimes. So I just go play courses, and I've gotten into disc golf. And my son is from Dallas and is a really, really big disc golfer. And he's introduced to me, and I've listened to the Upshot." And so she's like, "Can I take a picture with you? I want to show my son and show off that I met you." And at that moment, because like I've had people recognize me on courses pretty regularly, but I've never had someone outside of a disc golf event recognize me from the Upshot. So that was a cool experience.
Well, I want to give a quick shout out as well. I want to say hello to Harrison, who is the son of Robin Davis, the coach, legendary coach, to be honest, of the Stanford women's ultimate team. Many national titles, and just an incredibly successful program. But I talked to Robin a couple weeks ago at a tournament, and her son Harrison, who's, I don't know how old he is now, probably 10 or 11. He's coming up in the disc golf world. He's a huge Paige Pierce fan, and he's a regular Upshot listener. So
all
Harrison,
right.
Keep it up. I think he finished second in his division in a playoff at the the California State Championships or something along those lines in U10 division. So a name to keep an eye on in the future, and very cool. It's nice to talk to Robin about that, and great to have some young listeners to the pod.
Very sick. Welcome, Harrison. Happy to have you. How was the ultimate tournament?
It was great. It was great. The weather held up really nice. It looked like it was going to be thunderstorms and rain and stuff, but it just kind of we dodged it all. So nice. It was awesome.
Good.
So, okay, off we go into our show today. We've got a lot to get to. We're gonna debut. Well, not really debut. We used to have a segment called Inside the Circle, but now that's the name of our subscriber bonus segment. This just makes more sense. And our segment is now at the drop zone. Maybe we've already debuted it once with this name before,
so.
But I don't think so.
I don't think so either, because our shows have been nothing but news lately.
Yes. So we've got a drop zone segment coming. We're also gonna do the PDGA Minute, and I will take you through the latest PDGA news and notes. But first, we're gonna do a classic segment. Reel me in or cut me loose. And we're both going to give some takes, and the other person is going to say whether they are with it, then they're going to reel it in, or they're going to say that is absolutely ridiculous, and they're going to cut it loose. So we will begin. Josh, I'll let you go first. What you got?
All right. My first one is that a European MPO player, including MPO named Simon, wins a major.
Do you want to give any further analysis here to try to convince me one way or the other?
Absolutely. So we've got USDGC, where Nicholas Antila played incredible and was in a really good chance to win, actually. And
Sure.
It wasn't until, the last handful of holes that Gannon was able to create that separation. So we've seen that there are players who have the capacity to do so. I think there's a couple other advantages. Number one is that, Dickerson at Champions Cup makes a lot of sense, but a lot of those MPO players out of Europe are used to wooded courses similar to a Champions Cup style. And this year, not only do you have Champions Cup, but you also have Worlds at a similar, very, woods heavy course, at least on the Brewster Ridge side. And it's not like Fox Run Meadows is just, open bomber either. It's also very technical. So I think the course is set up well for somebody like Nicholas Antila, Vino Makala, Linus Carlson, Lowry Lettinen. Any of them really have the skill set and the experience with courses, especially when, I think of like Konopiste, and I think there's a lot of similarities between Konopiste and some of the courses and holes that are going to be at Worlds this year. And so I think there's going to be more experience than, and the Europeans are going to have a better shot than what may otherwise be seen as quite a disfavorable matchup.
So I'll definitely agree with your last point, which is that I think the European players in general are going to play better this year. They've had a year of experience competing in the U.S. I think that's the biggest adjustment. Not only having to learn the courses, but just to get used to playing on different styles of courses and deal with all the travel and everything. So there's a year of acclimation to that, and now you expect them to probably perform a little bit better overall. But I'm going to have to cut this loose. I just don't see where the win comes. Simon coming off a great season, but bag switch, pressure, all that stuff is only going to exacerbate what has been a historic issue, which is that he doesn't play his best at majors.
That is true.
And he's clearly the one who's most likely to win. I think it's it's definitely the right over under is a half, right?
Right.
And I think it's not out of the question. I think you can see that with Nicholas Antila, it's definitely possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to cut it loose. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're still a couple years away from that happening. And, it'd be one thing if European Open was wow, the Europeans really came close. But no, they didn't even come close.
They weren't anywhere
Paul
close.
and Eagle were we'll see you later. And they won by 20 strokes.
I think European Open is the least likely of places that the Europeans are going to win a major.
But see, that to me is a bad sign.
That's
fair.
a
bad sign that, you have all of this European talent there, way more than the Americans. And that's not enough. So I don't think it's way out of the realm of possibility, but it's a borderline cut me loose here.
All right.
My first one, I'll stick with the European theme to get us going.
Okay.
I'm saying European women are going to win 3 of the 4 majors, or 4, 3 or 4, 3 plus.
Okay, hold on.
So,
quick question though. We've got 5 majors in FPO.
Wait a minute.
Because we've got Throw Pink Women's Championship.
I'm racking my brain. Did I forget something? Okay. No, I'm going to stick with the 3.
Okay, stick with the 3.
But I will give you Throw Pink. I want Throw Pink as one of my chances. So I'm improving my odds a little bit here.
Yeah.
So obviously Kristen Tatar, we know what she was capable of doing last year. And, theoretically could have won even more had she played. She missed 2 majors, remember. So there's that. But I'm also very bullish on Evelina and Henna to improve on last season. And mostly that's going to have to come in the putting department, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that both of those players have a chance to win multiple tournaments this year, along with Kristen. And I mean, who knows? Maybe we have somebody else emerge. But I think just with those three players alone, we have a great chance to see multiple major wins. Love their chances at the European. I think that, I just feel like they have a chance to be like all three of them top 5 players this season. And to me, that's a great sign for multiple major wins when they're consistently leading statistical categories, even in a year in which Hannah and Evelina didn't win anything.
So Kristen got one and was 1 putt away from getting a second, only playing 2.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she played, yeah, she played,
was certainly in the mix at Throw Pink.
Correct. I'm gonna have to cut you loose.
Hannah was kind of in the mix too at Throw Pink.
And Hannah was in second at Worlds.
Yep.
And Evelina finished. Did she finish second at European Open? If not, she was.
Yes, she finished second to Paige.
So I mean, lots of chances. I still am going to cut you loose, because I think a lot of things have to go right to win a major, anyways, and. I think that's the case in point with Kristen, right? Despite Kristen's historic season, she played in 3 majors and only won 1 of them. And, I was assuming she's going to play in 5 this year, but is her elbow going to be 100% by the time she's at Champions Cup? Is she going to be warm? I don't know. Could Hannah and Evelina have a blow up hole or blow up last 3 holes? Absolutely. Like,
sure.
Of course they could. There are just so many things that have to go right. And, you've got 2 players who have a tendency to show us of how things can go wrong when you didn't think that they could. And Kristen gives you good odds, but I'm going to, even with the 3 out of 5, I'm going to cut you loose.
All right.
I am going to jump though to a Hannah and Evelina statistic. I'm going to keep us there. I'm going to say Hannah and Evelina putt north of 65% this season. Now, for perspective,
this is a parlay. So both have to shoot 65.
Both have to shoot 65. For reference, it is 58 and 52% respectively for Hannah and Evelina.
This is C1X we're talking about.
C1X, correct. Yes.
Holy smokes. I mean, Evelina was the second worst putter on tour.
Mm-hmm.
JK, Juliana Korver, was worst. And Hannah was bottom 10. 65. Okay, 65 puts them like still bottom half, but I mean, we're talking about a pretty significant increase in C1X putting from Evelina.
For reference, Jessica Weiss putted 65%. Natalie Ryan was 66%. I mean, you don't start getting into names that are regularly competing, honestly, until the 71%. So it is still well below average. Well, a bit below average.
I'm gonna reel this one in.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, I'm bullish on their chances, and for me to be bullish on their chances basically means that I need them to pick it up a little bit.
That's true.
Now, to go from 52 to 65, that actually is like a pretty significant increase. But the thing is, like, I think we saw green shoots for Evelina late in the season where it was like we weren't seeing the just brutal 4-putt holes very much anymore.
Didn't she like 5-putt at Champions Cup though? Or not champ? I meant GMC. Anyway, we're not going to go down this rabbit hole.
Get into nitty gritty. I mean, it was brutal. It can't get worse. And they've been focusing on improvement this season. Both of them have been in these training camps over in Europe that they're running. I like the odds of a pretty significant step forward. And it's not like we're talking about 75%, like upper half. We're talking about still like below average putting for the tour. For them both to get there, like, it's a tricky one, but I think they can do it. I think they can do it. It's a tough one, but I'm going to reel it in.
All right.
Okay, so how about this? Andrew Marweed won a tournament a couple weeks ago. Just finished second, actually, this past weekend at the Maricopa Open. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. He's been playing well to get the year started on fairly open Southwest courses.
Yep. One Shelly Sharp.
Very, very intriguing to me. Obviously, Andrew is a great putter and is known for his prowess in woods, and we see him play well at the back end of the season. He was inside the cutoff. He was number 30 on tour this past season. I'm saying Andrew Marweed levels up. He finishes at the end of the 2023 season, top 16 in the standings, gets a bye to the quarterfinals of the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship.
I think I'm going to reel this one in.
Ooh.
I like this one. I like this one a lot. I think that Andrew Marweed having the strong start to the season is what we need to see for Andrew Marweed to, I think you put it excellent in the way that you said level up. He really is a player who surprised us not last season, but the season before near the end, and was making lead card, playing really well. But then he came out and just had truly an abysmal start to the 2022 season. Outside, so Texas States and Champions Cup, he finished 20 and 27th respectively. But other than that, he did not finish inside the top 30 in an Elite Series event until...
If I recall, he switched bags last season, right?
He did switch bags last season.
So,
yep. Went over to DGA. Was it last?
I can't remember if it was 2 years ago or 1 year ago.
I think it might have been...
I can look it up.
Know. Okay, you check.
While you continue, I'll look it up.
It wasn't until D-Glow that he then went up to 7th and then had a couple of top 20 finishes, but nothing. 7th was his highlight. Do you have the bag on it for us?
I do. He signed a 3-year deal in the 2021 offseason. So last year was his first DGA year.
So first DGA year. But he's starting off with the strong start to the season this year that on the courses that, he just did not play as well at. And for reference, I don't think he played, it doesn't look like he played in either of those events, Maricopa or Shelly Sharp last year, but he did take 7th at Memorial, which feels a little similar, with ratings that are, not as consistent as these rounds that he's played. So sure. I like him for it. I think I like the level up. 16 is it's a steep increase, but if he just cleans up some of those 40s and gets a couple more in the top 15, I really think he's got the chance. So.
And all he has to do is play similarly, more similarly to how he did in 2021.
Right.
Like he didn't play as well in the back half of this past season as he did 2 years ago. So I'm saying he's going to get back to that form, but I think we're also seeing maybe Andrew Marweed's added some distance.
Yeah. That could be a big deal.
We haven't seen coverage yet, but I will be checking it out. I want to see how he's playing because, his round ratings have been really strong.
Yeah, they have. It's been good wins, that's for sure. All right. Well, I've actually got a very similar take, but mine is for Brody Smith. So I'm saying exact same thing. Brody Smith gets top 16 and a bye to quarters at the DGPT Championship.
Wow. Where did he finish this past season?
27th. So I also made the championship ahead of Marweed.
That's true. I like what I've been seeing from Brody. He's kind of settled into the rhythm of the tour. I think he's kind of ironed out some of the golf stuff. He kind of had a lot of golf stuff when he started playing disc golf. And he's talking on a podcast recently about how he was saying everybody needed to wear polo shirts when he first got started, and now he's against that. And he's been training pretty hard.
He has.
He's been losing some weight. He's been taking the training pretty seriously, and we know the throwing talent that he has. That's not in question.
Never was. Yeah.
I believe Brody will have a better season, but I have to cut this loose. I think 16 is a little too much for me to bite off. I just feel like more likely we're going to see him in the 20-ish range, 20 to 24 or something like that. So an improvement,
sure,
a step forward. But I don't know. There's too many players who have trajectories that I think are a little more promising than Brody's, given his age, given where they are in terms of their disc golf development, and they're already playing better than him in some cases. I just don't know if Brody. I think Brody, like, I'm not gonna say he's found his ceiling, but like he's approaching his ceiling of what he's capable of, and I just am not convinced that we're going to see the level of consistency that's required to get to that top 16 level. Now, he has a tendency to prove you wrong when it comes to like athleticism. I mean, he is certainly one of the most athletic players on tour straight up. But I just, I like him to improve, but not that much.
Okay. All right.
Got to cut it loose. Okay. I'm going to go with this one. So last year there were 10 different MPO players and 7 different FPO players that won an Elite Series or a major. Okay.
Okay.
One of those players, still maybe a little bit TBD, but Natalie Ryan, probably not going to be able to play any, or certainly not many, of these events this season, given the rule changes around transgender male to female competitors. We'll see what's going on there. Obviously, there's like legal stuff happening, and there may be rules. This is kind of like, I would say this is basically news that I'm talking about right now. There may be rules or laws in certain states that tournament directors do not want to risk running afoul of in terms of discrimination. And so we may see Natalie able to play in some Elite Series events. So could still be in the mix, but certainly not as much. But just want to point out that she was one of the people who won last year. So 17 different total players. I'm saying that in 2023, we're going to have at least 20 unique Elite Series and or major winners, 20 across both divisions, which would be an all-time high because last year was already an all-time high.
I was actually surprised that there were 7 in FPO. I didn't realize there were quite that many when it was all said and done. I think that here's I'm going to cut you loose, but here's why. Not because I think that the wins are going to be consolidated at the top. For example, Ricky and Simon accounting for 8 of them, 9 of them with the championship. Not that I think that's going to happen again, but rather I think that the players who got a single win are most likely to earn multiple wins this year. Chris Dickerson takes 2, for example. Ricky goes down 1. Dickerson takes another. Over an FPO, right? Haley King maybe wins 2, or Valerie Mondahano. I mean, she won 3 already. I think it was 2 or 3. So I think there is going to be a little bit more diffusion of where the wins go, but I think that a lot of the players who are going to get wins got at least one this season already anyways. So while that number may go up, I'm going to cut you loose. I think it's going to stay below 20.
Okay. You want to put a number on what you think it's going to be?
Less than 20? 19?
You want to do an over-under at 19.5?
I'll do an over-under 19.5. I'll take the under on that.
Put it in the books.
Okay,
Put it in the books.
there we go.
19.5 unique winners we'll review at the end of the season. What's next, Josh?
All right. I'm calling for a repeat of 5 years ago. We've got Worlds in Vermont, and I think that both MPO and FPO will have first-time world champions.
Wow. Both divisions?
Both divisions. Here's who you got. Okay, ready? So let's just going down some DGPT standings. Calvin, Gannon, Chris, Simon, Joel, Matty O, Kyle Klein, Corey Ellis, Kevin Jones.
Who has majors besides Paul and Rick?
Worlds.
That's not.
Yeah, Worlds besides Paul, Worlds. Rick, James,
Greg Barsby,
and then Greg Barsby. Yep.
Is that it? Like that are like active, like legit players? I think that's it.
I think so. Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunities there.
A lot of opportunities there. On the FPO side, that means Kristen, Paige, and Katrina don't win Worlds.
Right.
Or Paige.
Or Sarah Hokum.
Or Sarah Hokum. So those are your active players over on the FPO side.
Look, even if I can buy that it's going to happen in FPO, right? Which is that's certainly the more challenging thing. But is it like? I feel like it's just too hard for it to happen in both. I just think it's like, even if you get one of them, it's not going to happen in both of them. Especially because we've seen, like, you look at GMC results from the last few years, and you're going to see a lot of Worlds winners up at the top of that tournament.
Let's take a quick look.
Let's take a quick look.
I'm curious.
Give me the
now.
stats. Give me the stats.
All right, I'm giving them to you. All right, GMC this year went to, there it is, Kristen Tatar, Ricky Wysocki. So they are previous at the time.
And Chris Dickerson was right there. But he's obvious. Well, no, he would. No, he hasn't won Worlds.
He's not won Worlds.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking major, but
2021, Haley King and Chris Dickerson, they both would be unique winners.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
2020, it did happen. Paige Pierce and Kevin Jones. So that's unique on one side.
Yeah.
2019, we have Sarah Hokum, Paul Macbeth.
Yep.
Yeah, so those would not be unique.
Okay, that's far enough. 18 was we didn't have it, and it was Barsby
18 was
and
Worlds
Shu.
is Shu and Barsby. Yep.
Look, I think I would definitely bet on it happening in one of the divisions.
Okay.
But I can't do both. It's just a little too much for me. I'm going to cut it loose.
Looking at my takes, this is probably... I've got another one that's pretty bullish, but this one is very bullish of me.
I like it. I think it's a good one. But it's a little too far for me.
That's fair.
Okay. I'm going to save my craziest one for last.
Okay.
Eagle. This is not my last one, to be clear. Eagle is going to win at least 3 Elite Series and Majors in 2023. I mean, what do I need to say? Eagle has done this before.
I'll really
Eagle was fantastic at the European Open last year. Eagle is, for all that we can understand, is ready to play a full season this year after taking the time to rehab the injury.
Mm-hmm.
And even if he has some diminished distance on his forehand and can't throw full power on that side, is that really going to be that big of a problem when he wasn't throwing forehand at all and beat Paul Macbeth, who averaged over 1070 at European Open? So I'm saying he's back to 3 wins at least in 2023.
I mean, in 2021, he won 3 in a row. So yeah, I'll reel you in. I agree with this. I think it's very likely, especially when you think of majors, 1 major win and 2 Elite Series. Like if he came out and won LVC in a couple weeks, would you be surprised?
I will not be surprised if he wins any tournament.
Right.
I think like the whole narrative about him being like weaker in the woods is like dead and buried at this point. I think,
as it should be.
If he stays healthy, he is probably like, you can't put him at number 1 right now coming into the season because of the injury questions.
Sure.
But like if he has a good season, I think he becomes like de facto favorite to be player of the year, like moving forward.
I mean, how many times have we said it? Eagle is the most talented player to play this game.
It's unbelievable. So you're buying it.
I buy it. Oh yeah, I'll reel you in on that.
All right.
Yeah, I'll take that. All right. I'll save my MPO FPO first time world champions is not my most bullish take. So I'll save that one for last as well. My next one, Ella Hansen finishes in the top 5 in season standings. I probably could have gone.
Where was she this past year? Like 7th?
Yeah, not far off. I probably should have gone more. I really think going from 7 to 5 is going to be difficult, hard. Right? Yeah. Because you've got Valerie, who's multiple wins, and then the consistency of Own.
Yeah.
Like those are the 2 that occupy those spots, and then Missy is also ahead of her. So it's not an easy task by any means. I think Ella has to get a win. I really think Own is a anomaly in her ability to get that kind of placement without getting a win. I don't think Ella has the consistency to do that. She's got to get a win this season. But 7th place and is rapidly ascending.
She was about 200 points behind Valerie Mondahano in the final standings. Basically, there was like a clear top 6, and then there was like a pretty significant drop off of, like 150-ish points from Missy down to Ella.
Yep.
And that means that she's going to really have to step up.
Yes. 7 to 5 is not as close as
she lost too many points. Like, she was 21st at U.S. Women's. I think that is emblematic of what Ella has to do to get there. She has to play better on shorter technical courses where like touchier shots are required, and putting is a like bigger factor in who wins. Ella is the longest thrower on tour at this point. It's not even a question. And so, I think she's going to have a ton of success on courses that are going to emphasize that as a skill. So we're going to see her play great at LBC, for instance. However, I think that, the putting stuff is definitely, and just like the touchy shots are a work in progress still. We've seen that. Now she's improving. Clearly, she's improving. She's gotten better every season.
Yep.
Can she level up past the players in front of her? Ooh, I mean, it's so valuable to win. Like, what was her best finish? Did she have a second place this year?
Let's take a look.
Her
best finish, she had a third at Jonesboro, third at DDO, fourth at OTB, second at Preserve.
You just leave so many points on the table if you're not winning sometimes. Because a third, well, she had some tied for thirds, which is 72. I think third is like normally like 75 points, and winning is 100.
Here's the other thing I'm going to add, though.
I'm gonna say I cut it loose.
All right.
I think she's still gonna be right there. Like, she can finish 6th. It's hard to get to 5th, especially when I think that we're gonna see big seasons from Evelina and Henna.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you have more players coming into the mix, and she has to get past players who are already significantly above her in the standings. Now, I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody like, let's say Valerie Mondahano, just got married. Congratulations, by the way, to Valerie Mondahano. I think I'm stealing something from
you are, but that's all right.
Its own segment. But congratulations to her and Mason Ford for their marriage. But she's also changing bags. It's a lot of life transition stuff. I could see Valerie Mondahano dropping out of that spot and finishing, 7th, 8th, something like that, that slides Ella up a spot with nothing else changes. It's just like to get past the Owns, the Missies, and not have other people pass you like Holland Hanley, like the Europeans. It's a big ask.
It is,
and I just don't know, like, if I've seen enough to feel like that's coming. It's a good one, but I got to cut it loose.
Okay. All right.
So my next one, speaking of Holland Hanley, I say Holland Hanley wins an Elite Series this year.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about a tremendously talented athlete who clearly, and somebody pointed this out in, I think, Walk, or somebody in the Discord pointed this out, Ari, maybe, where you can join if you're a subscriber for less than $4 a month.
It's a lot of fun.
discgolf.ultra.com/subscribe. Pointed out that she's also just got a fantastic mind for the game and is very like analytical, and she's a great teacher if you watch her YouTube content. Holland making the move to a new bag, so that's like, maybe a little challenging, but I just feel like the trajectory of her game has been just like ultra up. And I think we've seen, I think it's a great comparative point to Ella, where it's like they're both sort of coming from other sports. They come into disc golf around the same time into pro disc golf, and they both have a lot of talent. I think Ella's a better power thrower, but I think Holland's a better disc golfer. And I think we saw, particularly at the end of last season, that Holland has the real ability to put it all together. And I think this is the year that she gets an Elite Series. Or a major.
Yeah. So Holland finished 13th in the Pro Tour standings. Holland is more consistent than Ella.
How do you figure that she's more consistent? I mean, Ella finished significantly higher than her.
She did, but so Holland, her worst finish is 19th at DDO. Whereas Ella, I think Ella played more events.
Definitely played more events.
And so I think that's part of it. She, and I'll get to another point in a second, but like Ella's worst finish is 28th at Champions Cup.
I get your point.
So
Holland's floor was a little higher.
Holland's floor was a little higher. So I think that's kind of the consistency I speak to on a week in, week out basis. Holland is not going to drop out nearly as far. But Holland's best finish was third place at Worlds.
Yep.
Great tournament.
Yep.
Great tournament. I think that, I mean, she could maybe DDO then this year. But MVP is fourth, but that's her best finish, is fourth place at MVP. And she's consistently good. I mean, the range from third to 19th, and that being your entire spread of finishes, is actually really, really impressive to me.
That's good.
But unlike Ella, I don't think Holland has yet shown the kind of explosive ceiling at a tournament that is necessary to take a win. And maybe it's just because she got overshadowed by the likes of Kristen Tatar at Worlds that we didn't see it, who shot a historic tournament. But I think Holland will probably move up in her Pro Tour standing. She'll continue to improve, but I'm going to cut you loose. I don't think she's shown that she has what it takes to get a win yet. And it's going to take her another year.
Okay.
Just too bad. I really like Holland, but impressive consistency. I didn't realize just how consistent she was. All right. Here's my hot take, the hottest take of my picks.
Okay.
Kristen Tatar reaches 1,000 rated this season.
Ooh. My gosh.
It's back. We're talking about the 1,000 rated FPO player again. It's back.
Okay.
So
she's
for reference,
currently 988 rated.
Yes.
Let me scroll back here and see where the ratings start dropping off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, she's still carrying some results from late 2021. Most of those are below her current rating. So having those drop off is mostly going to be beneficial, although she will lose Memorial at some point. Well, but she'll hold on to those for at least...
Memorial, I mean, not even terribly that strong. I really don't think she starts getting into issues. It's going to hurt when she starts losing Waco, I think. Because even though
that's going to be a while. Like it's at least a year, right? So you get a full year back. Maybe it's 18 months because like she's still carrying September results.
Here's the big question. The biggest question is how much does she play in Europe? Because the European tournaments do not give high enough ratings for her to reach the 1,000 rated. For example, the Yulme Open by DG Academy, presented by Latitude 64 back in 2021, 956, 950. Those are getting dropped.
I'm trying to see if I can make the math work. I'm trying to see if I can make the math work. The problem is, to get to 1,000 rated, you have to average over 1,000 rated.
Correct.
And I that's just a big ask. If she was at 995, I would say I'm smashing the buy button. Let's do it. But when she drops this Pro Forcer tournament, she shot about 994 average there. So that actually hurts her current rating to lose that tournament. Now it will be beneficial for her to drop the Latitude 64
the Yulme. That's what I was just pointing out. Yeah.
So that'll be good. Dropping LVC is probably helpful slightly. And then, Memorial looks like she probably only averaged 980-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So that will be helpful. Waco, she averaged 981-ish.
And don't forget your most recent, I think,
weighted higher.
25% of tournaments of rated rounds
weighted
are
higher.
weighted higher. So
she'd have to come out of the gate and just be swinging.
She would.
What did she shoot at LVC last year? Well, we just said it. She's going to have to improve.
968, 1004.
But she's not playing. When is she going to start playing? Is she playing LVC?
No, she's not playing LVC. I think
she's scheduled to start at Waco. So I wish I could run the algorithm right now to see what the results will be heading into Waco. It feels eerily similar to when Paige had the opportunity to get to 1,000 rated in the Texas swing if she shot really well. Now Paige was a lot closer. Paige was up in the mid 990s.
Yes,
and then
wasn't she 997?
She played terrible, and it was gone just like that. God, I want to believe, but like it requires a level of play that is like basically above what we saw from her last year for like at least a month straight. And I just don't think I can buy that. As much as I want to. I think it's going to take her like a full season of high level play to slide that rating up into the range where you can really attack the 1,000 rating mark. It's just hard for me to imagine, because it's like even at the end of last season when she was playing so fantastic, she still wasn't averaging over 1,000 rated at most tournaments. She did at GMC.
She did World. She did at GMC.
I don't think she did at MVP.
Didn't at MVP.
She certainly didn't at Throw Pink. That wasn't counted in the ratings, though. She didn't at Butler County. She barely did at Worlds, right? It was just like it was like a few points over 1,000. Yeah, you look, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I got to cut it loose for 2023.
You know, and I think the 2 years is probably more likely, but it felt appropriate.
It's going to be an incredible milestone when someone gets there first.
Yeah, it is.
All right, here's my spiciest take. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
A Lone Star sponsored player wins an Elite Series. Or major.
Who's their FPO team again? I know they got Lisa Fakis. That's the big one I remember.
Yes, they have Lisa. They have
on the MPO. We know we've got Chandler Kramer, Nico LaCastro, and
Deanne Carey.
Deanne Carey.
I think that's the notable ones. And then we've got Nico, Emerson, AJ Carey, Chandler Kramer, Robert Burridge.
That's right.
And a lot of 850 to 950 rated players. You never know, Josh.
How high was like Evan Smith rate? It was Evan Smith or Evan Scott at DDO when it was just like crazy windy and there were people up at the top that were like we've just never heard of.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's an aside.
I get them all. All the Lone Star players.
All the Lone Star players.
Only one has to win. And obviously Nico's won Elite Series. Chandler Kramer doesn't feel like somebody who would be an impossible winner on tour, to be honest. Lisa's been close.
Yep.
Robert Burridge has been close.
Robert
Very
Burridge
close.
has been, it was the closest last season, actually. Where did Chandler Kramer play really well that his name popped up on a radar?
Well, he had a couple good tournaments for European Open. I mean, he wasn't really close to winning, but that's where like people were like, "Wow, this dude's got pretty good."
Yeah,
and
he got on coverage.
I commentated his rounds, his final round at Butler County, in silver, where Joel Freeman played out his mind, but Chandler was right there.
Okay. I'm gonna have to cut you loose.
Oh no.
I mean, look, Nico could win again. And of that group, I think Nico's my favorite to win a tournament again. Winning Waco 2 years ago, like Nico's a really talented player. But if you were to give me an over under on any of them, I would say on a half of an Elite Series, I would take the under so fast it'd make your head spin. Collectively, it makes me ask, but if I don't have that much faith in any individual that much, I'm just not willing to give it to all of them. So I'm gonna cut you loose.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. Let us know what you think of our whether we should be reeled in or cut loose. Shoot us an email, upshot@ultiworld.com. When we come back, quick drop zone and the PDGA Minute. Don't go anywhere.
At Pound, the quality of our gear runs deeper than the stitching. That's why we make everything right here in the U.S., employing highly skilled, well-paid professionals. From bomb-proof Cordura fabric to YKK zippers and recycled plastics, we source the highest quality U.S. materials to make the most comfortable, durable pack in disc golf. Our lifetime warranty stays with the pack, not the purchaser. So regardless of how you find us, we will be here to make sure your pack stays on the course and out of the landfill. pound's integrity is held together with more than just thread.
Welcome back to the Upshot. It's time to get into the drop zone. Josh, take it away.
Yeah, so the first one was shamelessly poached from my segment during the main part of the show, but Mason Ford and Valerie Montejano got married, so congratulations to them. I mean, there's a lot of disc golfers who end up in relationships. I guess it's the proximity, right? They all have similar interests, traveling together. That's right.
I mean, really, what else are you going to do? Like, if this is the lifestyle you've chosen.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to make it work otherwise. I mean, and when we see players have a spouse or significant other outside of disc golf, typically they end up traveling on the road with them in an RV or something like that because you can't just be away from your family for weeks at a time. Unless you're Simon Lizotte and you got that $10 million contract, you fly in, fly out, or go back home. It's all good.
Well, I don't know how much he can fly in, fly out. In fact, that's his gripe with the schedule, remember, is that he can't fly in and fly out enough.
We need all of the disc golf courses to be on the airport location, actually. It's the new trend.
Simon goes to Jeff Spring. All right, I got 10 million. How much is it going to take to put all these in major metro areas? Next, Disc Golf Pro Tour aired a 1 hour special on ESPN2 that was a kind of, I think it was like a season recap with the focus being on the Tour Championship. One of those productions that definitely an exciting opportunity to be on ESPN again, but designed to get fresh eyes on the sport, people who aren't as familiar with disc golf, and targeted towards more of an audience who isn't as familiar with the disc golf scene and following last season.
Yeah, I just admit I didn't watch the whole broadcast, caught snippets. I saw some people talking about it was maybe a little too focused on kind of like players' interviews. And like if you didn't have a lot of context for who those players were, which you wouldn't if you were just a complete new person to the sport, maybe it wouldn't land that well. I don't know. At the end of the day, like this is just a continuation of what we've already seen. I think there's potentially seeds for a bigger partnership there in the future. And I think this is just like look, we can do this again. We get some advertising space for the DGN and DGPT, like advertising clients. It doesn't feel that fresh or exciting anymore because we've already seen this for a couple seasons now, but it's still advertising, right? This is marketing for the tour, and maybe a couple more people pay attention or say, hey, cool, I'm going to check out disc golf. I thought about playing, now I'll try it. I don't know.
Yeah. Maricopa Open happened this past weekend. Anthony Barella takes down the win by winning with 3 strokes over Andrew Marweed. Adam Hammes coming in third, about 10 strokes back from Anthony Barella, tied with Connor Rock there. Anthony Barella shooting around 1050 rated for the tournament. Strong start for Anthony Barella this season. And then over on the FPO side, you had Jennifer Allen beating Kat Birch by 6 strokes in order to take down another win out there in Arizona. It's Jennifer Allen's playground, right?
You come at the queen, you best not miss. Yeah, I mean, I think AB winning here definitely feels like the big story. We've seen him have success in this part of the season over the past couple of years now. And he was not very good at Chili Sharp, but clearly has quickly recovered the form. And so I think really good sign. I think it's a good sign for Andrew Marweed too. Yeah, calling back to the earlier conversation. But look, AB is going to be a really interesting player to keep an eye on this year.
And finally, we have the All-Stars list. I mean, we kind of knew who had qualified as All-Stars thanks to, it's by virtue of seeding. So it's pretty clear, but we do have the confirmed list of who has said that they are going to be attending. So unless there are some other changes like alternates being added the day before, then we should know who's going to be there. On the MPO side, everybody who was invited is attending. We've got Ricky, Paul, Calvin, Gannon, Chris, Matteo, Isaac Robinson, Simon Lizotte, Kyle Klein, Joel Freeman, James Conrad, and then KJ USA. Rounding out the field on the MPO side. FPO side has a little bit more news, though, as we've got the top 2 seeds, Kristen and Paige, both are not going to be attending the event. You then have Valerie Mondahano also missing because of injury, which makes your all-stars list Katrina Allen, Owen Scoggins, Missy Gannon, Evelina Salonen, Kat Murch, Hannah Blomroos, Holland Hanley, Sarah Hokum, Ella Hansen, and then the 3 invited thanks to the openings, Jennifer Allen, Maria Oliva, and Alexis Mondahano.
Still a great lineup.
Still a great lineup.
We know, obviously Valerie's hurt.
Yep.
Kristen is, I don't know if it's right to say she's hurt. She's recovering from, the surgery and everything.
Right.
And makes sense that you're going to skip an exhibition event. She's not playing LVC either. So, taking a couple extra weeks off before the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But Paige missing is a little bit of a surprise because Paige seems like she's fine. Paige is playing LVC as far as I know. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I asked Paige. I'll let everybody know if I hear what happened.
Well, that is it for the inaugural Drop Zone. Kind of inaugural, right? The inaugural segment being called the Drop Zone. So
formerly Inside the Circle. Now
formerly Inside the Circle. That's it for us.
Great stuff, Josh. And now I'm going to do a segment, a new segment that I'm going to try to do about once a month, every 6 weeks, something like that. It's called PDGA Minute. I'm just going to take you through what's going on in the PDGA. I keep up with what's going on. I read all the board of director meeting minutes. I do the boring stuff so you don't have to. So we now have the December board meeting minutes. We don't yet have January, but lots of things to note. Number one, PDGA continues to be in a fantastic financial position. Over this time last year, they're up about $1.7 million in total assets, putting their total assets at coming up on $9 million. So they are really doing extremely well. We saw this accelerate coming out of the pandemic. They furloughed their staff in early 2020. Huge question marks about what's going on. Everybody's super worried. And then it turns out that was ultimately just a massive financial boon for the PDGA as so many more people started playing disc golf. Membership is continuing to trend upwards. The projected end of year 2022 membership numbers 131,864. These are not official, those because we have official numbers through the end of November, but not yet the final year-end numbers. At least I haven't seen those posted yet. But they're expecting to have nearly 42,000 new members this year, which is actually only slightly behind 2021 in terms of new signups. There are 44,422 in 2021, Josh.
That's impressive.
They're projecting approximately 20% total growth rate with 90,000 renewals. And, if you're seeing 20% growth projections, like if you are the PDGA right now, we're coming off of 2021 when they had 55% growth.
Mm-hmm.
That's just crazy. But if you're the PDGA and you can say, I'm going to lock in even 15% growth rate for the next 10 years, you would take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like 20% growth coming off of last year is really, really good news for the PDGA. And if we were to see that for 10 more years, you're going to see the sport double again in just a few years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, compound growth is a big deal, folks. So they remain ahead of trend from before the pandemic when growth rates were around averaging around 14%. So then we had 33% 2020, 55% 2021, and now looking at 20% here in 2022. As you would expect, events are also up. We had about a 30% increase in total number of tournaments run in 2022. And that was boosted particularly because of huge increases internationally, where, to be fair, the comparison to 2021 is pretty favorable because there were a lot of cancellations due to COVID internationally in 2021. Let's see what else to note here. Some marketing notes. The PDGA is just about to wrap up its brand refresh. They're just waiting on trademark registration that may be done by now. What it means is we're going to get a new PDGA logo. This has been in the works for a while. I think it will probably be out and about in the world by the time we start the season. So keep an eye on that. Haven't really seen any hints as to what that's going to be. My guess, Josh, I think they're going to either put men and women in the logo, or they're going to drop the figure entirely. That's my guess.
That I think the latter feels the most likely to me. I hope it's not the former. Like, I feel like trying to cram two figures into a logo on, the size that they use those little tiles for, basically, in a lot of things would make it look kind of messy. So I hope it does not feature the two. But I saw on Reddit, so this is before you jumped on and looked at the PDGA minutes, but I saw on Reddit somebody had said that it's supposed to be dropping before LVC. So that's your prediction for the season starting. Now, I have done no additional work to verify that date, so don't hold me to it. Just to speak on the major bids, we talked a bunch about the 2024 majors. World's going to Virginia. Yep.
Not going to Europe. That was a big conversation. There were 14 unique major bids for 2024. 12 of them came from the eastern half of the United States, and then 2 of them came from outside of the U.S., Finland, Worlds, and Canada. I don't know. It doesn't say here where the Canada bid came from. But interestingly, no bids from the West Coast, no bids from the Midwest. So the PDGA has said that they're going to actually be working to try to encourage more bids from the rest of the country. So I don't really know where the East is defined. Is this... What's odd is that aren't there 2024 majors in like Oklahoma and Texas? I guess maybe that's considered Eastern half. I don't know.
No idea.
But that's what it says here. So overall, this is a quote from the minutes. Overall, bid submittals are becoming more professional, and many are including the local tourism groups. So I think we're seeing the professionalization of disc golf events starting to happen around us. So pretty interesting stuff. So that is your PDGA Minute, Josh.
Awesome. That's I'm excited for this segment. I think it's easy for things like that to kind of slip under the radar if you're not keeping an eye on when those minutes are released. So
that is going to do it for today's edition of the Upshot. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, hit us up, upshot@ultiworld.com. Get in the Discord with a subscription and also enjoy our subscriber bonus segments inside the circle. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long. We'll talk to you Thursday right here on the Upshot.